have everything laid out. We have the pieces cut. I've numbered them so I know which ones go where, and it's all put together. The next step, again, I'm doing all this because I have an idea of what I want, but I want to see how it's going to turn out. So my next step, I'm just going to stain the individual pieces, my union blue, white, red, and go from there. I'll skip that step on here because that's just rubbing the stain. You guys don't need to see all that. Okay, as you guys can see, I jumped ahead several steps. I stained each individual piece with some wood stain. I did the union, I did the stencil for it up there, and then I glued them together overnight. So you've seen me do those processes before, and it's pretty straightforward. Just to get these proportions right, I need to cut some off the end here. It's also kind of nice to just cut off in one fluid motion, you know, when it's all glued together, so you get a nice straight edge. So we're gonna go and do that part next. Now, ironically, up to this point, it's been pretty much standard. I've done this before. I have burned before, but I think I've learned to do a little better. I think if I keep my propane bottle horizontal, I scorch the surface and the grain and don't actually burn into the wood. That's been my big issue before. And I do want to get a burned look and then do a stencil over the top here as one last piece design. So I don't know how that's going to look. So that's why this plywood one, actually my daughter had the great idea. If it turns out half decent, we're just going to throw it up here on this fence outside. Because I'm literally just making this one out of plywood for fun to practice before I use the good or the better quality wood to make like the real one. So anyways, let's go jump into this. I just don't know if that has improved the look or not. Kind of torn. I hate that I don't know yet when I'm going to go into like my real one, you know, the better one. Let's move on to the next step for sure though. For a practice play around one with plywood, this one has turned out fairly well. Of course, I will seal it with polyurethane. I'll probably do 3 coats on it. My saw here is it cuts 1.5 inches off of this rail, so I need 1.5 inch stripes. So my very first line, my very first mark is going to be 3 inches in. That's where I'll, you know, put the rail on, and from there, every 1.5 inches is where I need my next one. So anyways, we'll go over here, same thing on this side, start at 3 inches, and then from there, I'll start marking every 1.5 inches. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm not gonna cut all the way across because it just makes it easier to Dremel and to stain and everything, so I'm gonna keep my union solid. I don't think that harmed the look of this one. So I'll just be paying attention. When I get my 6th stripe cut out, then I'll remember to next measure, cut my union piece out, and then shorter stripes for the last 7, if that makes sense. Let's get to it. So little tricks like this, it's nice to do practice ones. I know that took me like a whole couple days of project time, you know, in and out of regular life, but you learn to go a lot quicker. Of course, I'm talking to you guys, but I can tell already that doing this versus cutting those ones and measuring each one individually, then readjusting this and taking it off over and over, this is just going to be like a assembly line of cutting these stripes and just moving right along. course, that's not going to cut here. That's going to cut here. Cut that all the way off, and then I'll do the same and cut this piece off so my union piece is exactly the size I want. I'll take this remaining board and I'll continue on cutting my stripes. Fairly simple and straightforward. Just gotta kind of think about it for a couple minutes. When I did my practice flag, the plywood one, the stain I used, I applied it with a foam brush. And as you see it hanging on my fence there, it almost gave it a painted on look. It was really thick. So I wanted to go for a little bit of a different look. I wanted this to be a colored stain wood. So then I just used some fabric, some old, rags and whatnot to apply that stain. Okay guys, so I spray painted all my stars. I was almost tempted to just leave that, but I'm gonna follow through. I like the look. I think it's good, but I think it could look a lot better by dremeling these stars out. Just give it it's a lot more work and effort, but it's gonna give it a lot more clean, professional look. At least that's my thought. Maybe I'll start with one kind of in the middle, so if it doesn't work out right, it kind of hides it, That one's a little bit more rounded. Let's see if this kind of takes out our center and gives us the desired look. Let's just see what happens here. Now, how do we make it look smooth? Do I use one of these to sand it? I don't know if that really is adding anything to this. In fact, it just kind of put some green, it took some of that off. It's all trial and error here, isn't it? Okay, I'm not doing that. Right there, yeah, I'm gonna mess it up if I do that one. I can tell you that right now. Slight mistake there. I think I just gotta use the two that I have and do the best that I can. Tell you what. Let's try one with just this, and let's see if we get a tip. Let's see if we get a point. I don't even know what half of these bits do, if I'm honest with you. What the heck does this bit do? Is this a sanding bit? Or is it meant for the inside? See, I don't know. That's why I am just an amateur that just likes to do stuff and keep trying for the first time, because I got no idea what I'm doing. Alright, 2 of 50, kind of sort of done. I guess it's nothing else here to say, but let's just get to work, right? Let's do it. There is a temptation to use one of these wheels that, are kind of like a sanding sponge or something, or the sandpaper ones, and sand the middle of these stars out. And let me put it very close so you can kind of see the texture of that. It's not a completely smooth surface. There's temptation to do that. But I've decided I'm going to leave it, because I am just as likely to either sand off the stain as I did on that very first trial one, on that very little tiny edge there, or completely to sand the stain like that, or to completely deform the star. As I hold this back, these stars stayed pretty well for freehand after the spray paint on, and yes, there's some white edges, but again, I think that we're going to hide a little bit of this, and they're going to stay pretty good once we torch this. So point being, I'm leaving that exactly as it is. It's not perfect. I think it's a lot better than I've done in the past, and I think I have the potential to screw it up if I were to try to mess with it even more. And then I'm just going to pull down and start with it right here. Put glue on one piece and, you know, keep putting them together. So it's that simple. I'm trying to put the glue closer to the top as I put it on here because it's going, gravity obviously is going to make it go down, and you always have an issue of squeeze out, which I will take care of because I don't want that to ruin this. And you also have an issue all the time. This is going to glue to the plywood board just a little bit. I'll have to be careful to take it off after it's secured and all cured to itself. I'll use something to very gently pry it off of that board because and tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening we're going to have a flag ready to be torched. Of course, I'm always being very careful with this glue not to break this thing apart. So I don't want to break one of the stripes off. I don't want to break this piece separate from that. So I'm trying to just gently get the edges and get underneath it and lift it just a little bit. I don't want to use leverage and pry too much. There we go. Just takes patience. You don't want to overdo it. Here's our back side. Not too much bleed through of the glue. Pretty good shape. Should I leave it as is, or should I give it a little bit more? I'm thinking maybe just a little bit more down here. Just a little bit more of the darkened, but not tons. Let's go with that. Well, it is spray paint. It's not really going to run anywhere. I guess let's just take it all off right now. Try to. All that's left to do is treat this thing. I'm going to use that canned polyurethane in the back. About three coats. That's what I did on the plywood practice one, and I think it did really good. I'm going to do it on the front and back because it's almost August and extremely humid out. I think I'm going to take this inside. I don't know if it's necessary. I don't know if there's any science to this. Obviously, my AC is on and it's less humidity in there. I don't know how long I would need it in there to make a difference. Maybe some of you expert woodworkers could tell me this. But I'm thinking I'm going to leave this as it is for tonight. I may put one coat on one side. I haven't decided because I don't think it's going to make a massive difference, but I don't want to seal in all the moisture on this. So I'm thinking tomorrow morning I'm going to start my first coat, and by tomorrow night I will have done probably my 3 coats. Hopefully, well, at least definitely one side, maybe both sides. And then I'm gonna put some hangers on the back so that you can mount this thing, and we're gonna call it a day. So we're getting there. 37 inches length, 18.5 is dead center. That's my first mark. And I want to do 16 inches on center. So I'm gonna put one right there in the middle, and then one on either distance. So they'll be 16 inches apart. So we're going 8 inches away from that. So 18.5 to 10.5. There's mark number 2. 18.5. 18 will be 26.5. There's number 3. 3 marks. I don't know if I showed you guys or not, but I just spray painted the back white. I actually used that enamel spray paint that I've used on the camper before. I want it on the wall. You're not going to see it. I just want it to be a little cleaner and less of the bleed through of the glue and some stain blotched everywhere. You can see it's darkened through here. So the white just makes it on this side just a little tiny bit nice. So there you have it, guys. Both the practice one that I made out of plywood and then the real one that I made out of edge glued pine. The irony is this one in my hands cost more money in materials. There was more effort involved with dremeling the stars, of course. More caution, I would say. And yet, I feel like the plywood one looks just as good, if not better. In fact, I didn't want that stain to paint it and go solid through, but I almost feel like where I used the stain with the foam brush and it's almost painted on versus just like a light stain. I'm looking back and forth. I almost think I like the plywood one better. I like them both. I'm proud of them both. Let me know what you guys think. It almost makes me think, even though I feel like I'm cheating myself, I feel like the spray painting on, and I feel like the look of it just turns out pretty good. So let me know which one you guys like better. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.